inside Thursday night. How's it going? Alright, strip back, good crack, multi-trade podcast. Share the knowledge you know, help to make our sector grow. Everybody's learning from experts and the journeyman. Insights.
Right, we're back. Season 7, Episode 6. I'm Stephen Buckley.
I'm Keith Delahan.
And this is Insight, the Stripped Back podcast, sponsored by Robust Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And also in association with Snickers Workwear Ireland and Velocity Pro Gear.
Yeah, on this episode, we've got one special guest joining us, and we're going to take the overload segment back to basics and just have myself and yourself chatting. But before that, who have we got coming on?
We've got Sean Doyle coming on. So he is a PT. He's what would you call an influencer and founder of True Power Coaching.
Yeah, it's one that has been put onto us through listeners of our podcast.
Yeah.
They highlighted who they'd like to hear on it.
Yeah.
We reached out, he agreed, and he's here tonight. So
We got it done.
I guess before we get into his chat, we've got a few bits that we want to go over. So
A few bits to get off our chest, yeah.
exactly. Let's do it.
Let's go for it.
This podcast is coming to you from the Robust headquarters in Dublin, Ireland.
Robust are the world's leading LED lighting company.
So make sure you head over and download the My Robust app and see what they have on offer. Right, we're back. Another overload segment. No guest this week.
I might grab a drink.
There's no.
Is that nice?
This one's alright. I'll tell you the. Yeah. Yeah. It's not bad. Yeah. It's got something different. This one's from Malta.
Oh, it's fancy. It's nice now.
It's alright. Like, it tastes like.
Something, isn't it?
Tastes like beer, like, you know what I mean? It's gluten free.
Yeah.
Right, we're back. Overload segment. No guest this week.
Are you lonesome tonight?
I don't know. It's
It's good to actually get a catch up, isn't it?
taking it back, isn't it, to what we used to do? Season 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, exactly. No, driving in earlier on, you were just saying it's going to be like a rewind back to what we used to do.
Yeah.
Just talk shit and get the daily scoop and what we're doing for the week and all that kind of stuff.
We do enough of it on the phone, like when we're talking in the van and stuff.
Should record that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We should have done it. We should have put something out. But you were talking to me there during the week about pricing for jobs. You were doing a bit of maintenance quoting and stuff, and you were asking me, like, what's the best way about going
Yeah.
and pricing for jobs that are sort of outside of your normal remit.
Yeah.
And it sort of opened my eyes up then to the whole aspect of the job that people don't take into account. You know what I mean? People just think, you know, you rock up and you do the job and you put in a price and you get it. But there's a lot more to it, like, isn't there?
No, 100%, because we're doing a residential job and obviously, you know, that's our bread and butter. But the client that we're doing the job for also happens to run a number of hotel chains in the city. It's only small kind of boutique hotels and stuff like that, and kind of like townhouses in the kind of in the city centre. So she asked me would I be interested in pricing maintenance work, because we did a good job in the house and we were thorough. She's seen our kind of systems and probably, I don't know, naturally presume that we can do maintenance and, you know, give her a service in that regard. So that's why I said I'd give you a ring, because obviously you've been in the maintenance game a long time. So in regards to, you know, emergency lighting schedules and testing of that and smoke alarm systems, it wouldn't be my bread and butter. I have a general knowledge of it, but in terms of the business side and pricing it and, you know, making it work for everybody.
There is dangers to it, like, because not one job is the same. Not one site is the same, you know what I mean? So similar to you going out and pricing a domestic job, you know, you're pricing per point on jobs or you're pricing per project on other jobs. So the way you'd sort of have to assume straight off the bat is there's man hours involved in it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it's how much am I charging to utilize one of my electricians to be on your site for the minimum amount of time that it takes to do an emergency lighting test,
Yeah.
which you're putting down, say, emergency lighting test, annual test, it's 3 hours. You have to arrive on site, you have to do your inspection, you have to do your 3 hour test, and then there's the bit of paperwork after. What people don't realize then from that is that you then have to take into account the money that can be made from that post testing, you know. So you can bog yourself down on thinking I have to make as much money as I can just out of the test.
Yeah.
And really, you don't overthink it. You just think about how much I would charge per hour for a man on any job.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, no matter if he's doing any physical work or just walking around and doing visual inspections or physical testing on a job, you're just taking it back to basics, and it's man hours. And then you can capitalize on that then on remedials. So, you know, there's always the option of battery replacements. You've got the option of upgrading from old fluorescent tubes that are in a lot of the old exit fittings to be in a lot of the old bulkheads that you'll see around. So obviously with the phase out of a lot of the fluorescents now, like within the Europe and the wholesalers sort of pushing LED on everything, it's a chance for you then to, you know, start to slowly or completely upgrade a whole floor or building with LEDs, like, which then changes a basic emergency lighting test into a full-on remedial project.
Would that be a go-to synopsis or remedy for you if you came across a light that, you know, maybe needed a new ballast or bulb or battery? Would you be pushing them down the direction of getting the new fitting?
Yeah, so that's another thing, because I always laugh about it, because I see that a lot of the lads coming in now are pushing people towards the LEDs because it's easy, and they have no concept of the whole investigation and the workings of how a light fitting works, you know?
Yeah.
So I used to go around with the van. I don't have a lot of them in the van at the minute, like, but I'd have like a bag of starters and a bag of ballasts, and, you know, ballasts that would probably be sitting in the van for a year on end, because a lot of the clients would be wanting the LED upgrade. Where by the time you go and price and say, look, you know, you've got a room full of 6 lights all in a row, and you're telling them, look, I'm going to replace that one with an LED. It's very hard to
upsell the 6.
Upsell the 6 of them, you know. So it never bothered me to not do the ballast. Like, I would try to push for the LED, but if I had to go for the ballast, I would do the ballast. But like what I was saying to a client there recently, who we got a call out to a job, and it was 6 lights in an office area, and the reason why we were called out was because there was migraines from one of the women that was working in the section.
Right.
And what was happening was that the light output from the fluorescents were so different, like, depending on the age and the wear and tear, and
so the adjustment of the eyes was causing it.
Yeah, it was strained, you know. So I was going in, and like, that was a client that wouldn't potentially like look to spend any money on something that was working.
Yeah.
But when it came to something that was regarding somebody's health, it was a game changer then, because you had a client then raising a health and safety issue, you know. So now you've done a row of 6 in that spot for them in the office, and they can see the difference.
The benefits.
They can see the benefits from it.
Yeah.
And now the email has gone out, like, saying, can we get a price for other areas, you know?
So it's another, I suppose, string to the bow, or another thing as a maintenance company, not trying to, you know, say that you are trying to upsell anything, but it is a an option, or an option that you can offer the customer.
It's hard to upsell emergency lighting because emergency lighting only ever works when there's an emergency, and nobody's thinking about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. All you'll see is the green light, or if it's an integrated fitting, there'll be just a little charger beam that's charging away, and your natural lighting is working anyway. And when the emergency's going, all the people are thinking is, if you have an integrated LED panel with an emergency backup kit, they just see the light is still working. They don't know that a battery pack is working above that, keeping that lighting going.
Yeah.
You look at your exit fittings now, like, which have to be on all exit routes, like, have to be lit at all times.
Yeah.
Before, like, you used to see them only come on during,
you just see the green light, and then
they'd come on during a power outage. But
has that made it easier for you to do your visuals?
Yeah, well, obviously, like, if you're doing your job right, like, you'll want to see an active charging indicator on any fittings. If I don't see a charging indicator, I'm flagging it anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not a pass if I don't see that the battery's charging.
Yeah.
Because that's a visual in itself. Like, so if I'm walking around,
so even if it's the indicator that's gone and the battery's fine, it's still grounds for.
I'd flag it anyway, you know what I mean? Because it still comes under your visual, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like that, like, emergency lighting can be a tough one to sell. Like, along the lines of, any old concept of trying to sell something that is it might be a necessity, but it's not something that people actually think about until it's the time that they really need it.
Yeah.
But like that, like, fire alarm testing, I haven't gone mad in depth into fire alarm testing with the company that I'm with. With maintenance, like, they'll put you through any type of upskilling that you want to go into.
Yeah.
At the time that I got in with the maintenance company that I'm with, they were pushing people through on emergency lighting testing and design, which I done. And what was provided through the same training facility on the same week was to jump in on a day course for fire alarm servicing, which for me was comfortable enough for me, because it was enough just to go out and during, say, any stand, if I'm going out now to do any type of emergency lighting testing, you can incorporate then your fire alarm into that as well, which could be just manipulating any panel, if it's a C-Tech panel or a Zyton or whatever it is. You just know the workings of it. So you can go into an office or a shop that is during working hours, because a lot of companies won't want to pay for anybody coming in out of hours.
Yeah.
And you know how to manipulate that panel then to at least allow you to do one bell test, but it will allow you to go around then the rest of the building then and say, like, if you say smoke detectors, first floor, ground floor, a heat detector in the canteen, or any type of call point, you can test all of them then. After doing your one bell test, you're not needing to ring the bells every time then. You're just looking for a signal.
Yeah.
So you can get your signal back to the panel then without setting off the bells all the time, if you're smart enough to know how to manipulate these panels, which for any type of PPM technician who's going around, that's all you need. Yeah. Now, if shit hits the fan, like with a lot of the fire alarm panels, and there's more in-depth maintenance needed, we call out the cavalry, like, which is the lads who are going around in the van and have all the equipment on them and know the crack, who are working with it all the time.
Yeah, who are efficient with it.
I think it's one of those things, fire alarms as well, like, if you know your limits, stick to your limits.
Yeah, don't try and go above and beyond.
Especially not on a Friday.
No. No, that's good. Like, and in terms of the first one we have to look at, it has multiple distribution boards in the hotel itself. So after speaking to you, we kind of came to an agreement of what I should be doing is maybe doing like a 1.5 day visual identification session, and a full labeling of the distribution boards, just to, I suppose, to gain the
well, I suppose
the
it's
layout.
like what you're saying. If you were in any house, like, and you were doing a rewire and a gaff, like, and you were finishing up on that board, like, and you've got that legend on that board and it's perfect.
Yeah.
If you're coming back to where any other electrician's coming after you, like, it's appreciated, but it's for isolation and safety reasons and everything as well. It's needed and it's essential.
Yeah, so, it is, yeah.
For any maintenance company, large, small, or independent or limited company, who are taking on a contract for maintenance.
Do you think that's the minimum you should be doing?
Yeah, well, you want to take control of that.
The fabric of the building,
Yeah, take control of it and know the ins and outs of it. So we got a contract recently, a fairly big contract, like college contract, who have multiple facilities all over Dublin.
Yeah.
And before the rollout started, we had a 3-month lead-in time that we requested that allowed our technicians to go in and go through every site and work through every board and find out what every circuit does to the best of our capabilities and remake a legend and put them into that board. Because maintenance is exactly that. Like, when something needs to be isolated or something trips, you need to know
where it is and where
it is. Like,
yeah.
So if you're getting a call out on a Thursday morning, Friday afternoon, or whatever part of the week it is, and somebody says to you that
breaker 15's
15
gone down,
and you know that it's, you know, a water heater in a bathroom that might have 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
And you know that there's loads of them. You know it's not essential to get out to, but you know that if it's breaker number 10 that's gone down and it's
the kitchen's gone or
something really important is gone, or stairwell lights are out or something, you know exactly, I need to get out there ASAP. So you can then determine what's the priority of the job, like,
based on the number that's gone down. Yeah, so look, that's what we came to, and the client was happy enough to go with that. Was we're going to do a day and a half kind of remedial, or well, it's not really remedial. There's a few remedials that we found just on the meeting itself. So the fuse board, the main distribution board has no blanks in it, basically. So you could fit your arm in. The gaps are there. So if that's anything to go by, I think a full scan of the place there'll be a few gremlins to be found, I'd say.
It's like one of them things in it as well where you'll get sort of an idea of it. Like, I was dreading going in onto a job there during the week. I rang you for the site that I was on. It was an old building in Dublin city centre, and I was going in, I was doing distribution board checks on them. So every floor, you know, panels off, checking connections, throwing the thermal gun on it.
Yeah.
You know, doing RCD checks, everything on it. But, you know, you're walking into this building and you see like the age of it, and you see the age of the lights, and there's no money spent on any type of maintenance upkeep in regards to upgrading fittings, like, you know. But when I got into the boards, beautiful. Took the panels off, like, and they were kept pristine, like.
Yeah.
Every cable, you could see that breakers had been replaced and they were put in properly, replaced like for like. All cables, if new circuits were put in, which you could see they've been put in because legends have been updated with Sharpies and stuff.
Yeah.
Every circuit was ran down neatly on the sides, and any neutral that was ran up with the neutrals to the neutral terminal was all cable tied along with the other ones and everything. And I just never seen so much care and attention in such an old building. Say that,
I presume it's few and far between in that case.
Yeah, and that's it. It's a good surprise when you see it, because it does give you that type of confidence that there is good lads out there actually doing maintenance work. You know what I mean? Because that type of work is maintenance work that lads are at that boards through different contractors over many years. Like, that contract of maintenance must have shifted many times. Like, but yet the appreciation for the work previously has been upheld. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, like you said, is very rare. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And the other thing we were talking about during the week, aside from that, was, I suppose, is the state of the trade, electrical in Pacific, like in terms of pricing. So, what are your thoughts on, I suppose, under pricing just to win jobs?
Yeah, like, I can see the thought process around it when it comes to the point of maybe somebody starting out as a company, looking to find their feet, get, you know, a foothold with, say, a building contractor or something who's been using a separate electrician for a long time, and they might be looking to maybe branch out and use somebody different, and to go in and undercut maybe just to get your foot in the door. I can understand it, but you have to know then that it might be tough to get that price up. It might take you a while to get that price up with that person again, but at the same time, it's a two-way street, you know what I mean? Because if you think about the likes of yourself as a limited contractor or somebody that's working with, you know, a limited amount of men on, say, a couple of contracts that need to keep your company running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not something like the likes of a large maintenance company that I'd work in where we have constant flow of money coming through maintenance contracts. You know, like our install work is bonuses. Our reactive work is bonuses. Like, so the way we price like higher than normal because we know the sites, like, and we have a footing in those sites, and it makes sense to the clients to use us, because to get somebody from the outside in, they might get a more competitive price from somebody else, but they don't know the site, they don't know the ins and outs of it, so they have to go through that whole process, and it'll probably take them longer to get the job done. Where I think it's slightly different, maybe coming from the domestic end of it. I think your pricing could definitely work a lot more different than us. I think we can get away with a lot more than what you can, you know?
No, 100%. Like, we've been pricing a few things lately, and the contractors are coming back looking for, you know, itemized pricing, which is it's fairly, in one way, it's fairly transparent, so everyone knows what everything's costing. But if it's a case where multiple people are pricing, you know, and you don't know you're the only person that's pricing, you could be doing all the legwork for the next guy. You'd be giving that contractor or builder or company a kind of a roadmap or a place to start with people. Like we got stung a couple of months ago. A large kind of domestic property. We were asked to come in and price. It was like a 5-bedroom house, the usual. It has office, playroom, 2 sitting rooms. So it was a full, you know, took me about 5 hours, 6 hours to price it fully. And with the view that I would have been getting the job, it was kind of like a dead cert type of thing. Now nothing's dead cert, but this one just felt, because it was kind of word of mouth type of agreement. Yeah, kind of. And went into the property, and the customer, like, it was a self-built, so there was no electrical drawings in place. So I basically designed the whole job myself, based on what you'd normally have in a house, you know what I mean? So I basically went in there, done the electrical design, gave me prices, and was fairly competitive because it was local enough to where we're based out of. Like, it's probably half the distance of what we normally do.
Made sense.
Yeah, it made sense, and went through everything, went back and forward for maybe a month with nothing about pricing, just about, do you think we should do this? Will I do that? I think we could do with this there. Do you think we should do this? And went back and forward for ages, and booked us in for maybe, after the initial scheduling or walkthrough, booked us in for the next month, the first of the next month. So I think it was the 1st of June we were supposed to start it, and I think he rang me a week before we were supposed to start. So bear in mind, I had 4 lads ready to go on that job. Rang me and said, I was talking to you about this already, so you know what I'm talking about, but rang me and said, text me and said, Keith, are you free to have a chat? And I was like, right, something's up here. And I said, yeah. So he rang me, and he just said, we've got another price there. And we're gonna, like, we'll talk small money just for pig iron. We won't go into the exact price. Say it was 10,000 my price. It was more than that, but say it was 10,000. He came back and said, yeah, we've got another lad there. He'll do it for I think it was say 7,000. And I said, right, okay. I said, sure, look, we'll have a look at it. That was my first mistake. I'll have a look at it. Like, should have stuck to my guns because I'd already competitively priced it anyway. So went back to.
And why do you think? Why do you think you felt the need to have a look at
it? Because I thought he wanted us to do it. Not that matters, and I knew a relative of his and where it was located. I went back and I actually thought, right, so I'm going to save this much on diesel.
So like what you were saying before.
I didn't actually factor in the distances and stuff like that either, and then there was no tolls, that type of thing, and
so you could still make it.
Yeah, so I said, like, I actually worked it out what I'd be paying on diesel for 2 vans to be going that distance, and worked it out that I was saving this much money.
If you needed any extra gear,
and I passed that. And I passed it his way. I passed that discount his way, stupidly enough, like, you know. So that was my first mistake. So I went back to him, gave him the price again. He goes, Jesus, you were able to knock a good bit off that. That's brilliant, like, you know. I was like, that's grand to have that job now, because I came in actually under him. We won't talk what the figures were. I came in underneath him about €500. I said, geez, that's great savings. Sure, give me an hour there. And I was like, this is unbelievable.
Red flag, like, yeah.
And he came back to me and said, oh, that lad said he'll do it for this price and a bit of cash. And I just said to him, I said, look, there's not alarm bells ringing for you, like, lad looking to, now he went considerably lower than me, and half of it was cash and stuff. And I said, like, you're going to ring me with problems with this lad. I know you are. And I just said to him, look, thanks for wasting my time, but I'm gone, like, so good luck. But
did you learn the lesson?
Oh, I learned the lesson. I'll never do that again. And another thing I'll never do is for self-bid, look, you have to kind of be transparent. If you're getting a decent contract with someone that's going to give you repeat work, you kind of have to disclose what you're going to be charging per point, I think.
The itemization is one for me where, you know, it can be quite contentious, like, because it does sort of throw up that back and forth, doesn't it? With
you're creating unannounced yourself. You're creating a tender process.
Yeah.
So they're going with your price to well, this is what Energized Electrical are doing. Yeah. Beat that by a fiver, and you have the job, like, because a fiver over maybe you know, thousands of items.
If you're happy with the price, like, and you're happy to accept that price, once we start, I don't mind providing you with.
Yeah.
I don't mind providing you with, like, how much something costs individually.
Yeah. The new way to do, especially the one-off jobs, private jobs, like, that aren't associated with any contracts. So one-off jobs is we'll do an itemised quotation, but we'll be charging €300, €300 to do an itemised quotation. And if we get the job, we'll deduct that from the overall price. Yeah. But you're literally, with most of them self-build jobs, you are designing the job yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you're given an electrical drawing.
Well, most places would do that. Like, if you were going out now and you were going to price a new kitchen for your house, like, or wardrobes for your bedroom, and you needed somebody to come out and actually design the layout, you know, you're not just going to IKEA and get it made up, you're getting a bespoke one.
Yeah.
Most, you know, designers that will come out will charge for that design, and like what you said, will then reduce or minus that off then the final bill.
Yeah.
And I don't see why contractors shouldn't be afforded the same response, because it just feels like
being used, like, you know?
Just like homeowners or anywhere that, I just think that it's a different kettle of fish, like, when it comes to negotiating with tradies. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, like, I had a homeowner today, went out to price a job, fairly basic setup, got me listing done within about half an hour, and was looking to leave the job, and customer, like, basically stood me up and at the door and said, like, what's the price? Do you know what I mean? And I was like, well, I have to go back and work out the price for you. Like, I can't give it to you. Oh, you can't give it now, like. And I was like, I said, I know there's not a lot in what we listed, but I have to run that through the software and see
Yeah.
what price we come out with.
I
Like,
get you. I get you the same thing. It's like that. Like it's people don't know the ins and outs of what work might possibly involve. No job is the same. Like so, like if I get a call out, like which I have this week, you know, new socket installation, kitchen area, shop that we look after. It just literally comes up on the phone, you know, and it's like install new socket.
yeah,
And the duration of the job is put on there and it says 1 hour, you know, and it's I walk out and I walk into the store and I go up and I see the kitchen area and I realise, you know, there's no other local socket nearby.
yeah,
The board is on the floor above.
yeah,
The riser that you need to access is in a cubby hole that I have to actually take cabinets apart to get at.
yeah,
And by the time you've actually done any prep work for any type of wiring or anything like that, like you're already an hour in, like doing a bit of prep, like. And then I'm turning around and I'm trying to explain that to, you know, our contracts managers and everything, that we shouldn't be accepting jobs, like,
yeah.
and just saying, well, you done one for
socket.
somebody before, and it took you this long, so we're going to do that the same. Like there has to be some allowance, like for quotation,
Quotation,
you know what I
or
mean?
site survey or
Site
something.
survey, something, yeah.
Source, if someone can, you know, maybe give you a
So
video,
I'll say
or a
that, like,
photograph of where it's needed. Like,
I've taken it upon myself now, which hasn't been too like well received by anybody who wants like jobs closed out quick, like, but I've started to now utilize any job that will come on my phone. Like it's a job for install, but I'll go out like and I'll only do the quote like on that install job number.
yeah,
And I'll note it down as we have an option to pick further visit required. And I ask then for a new job number to be raised, and I close out the job that I went out initially with as a quotation job.
Yeah.
And they can charge for it, or like I said, they can incorporate it into the full install then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't waste your time or your employees' time like on going out to these jobs like and being expected to just pull a number out of your hat, like, you know what I mean, and say this is how much it's going to cost. Which I can understand, like from a homeowner's point of view, they might have a price in mind like that they want to spend, and they want to get that price off you like ASAP, so they can figure out like either to go with you or to go with somebody else. Like, but that's where the games start. Like, you know what I mean? When you start that trade war like between two different contractors, it just, you wouldn't see it. And I think Adam Steers like said it like on one of the previous episodes that we've had on. Like, you wouldn't see that type of war of prices like in any other industry, like to the extent that you see like with the trades right now.
And it's between trades, but it's also between sometimes between the customer and the contractor as well. Because one thing that I've noticed as well is like what you said there about the distances between sockets and stuff. We charge a flat rate per socket in a, say, a basic rewire. And the thing that I've got the odd time is, you know, we have a TV location and you're going to put two double sockets beside each other. People saying, well, that socket is like right beside the other one. Why does that one cost the same as one that's over the other side of the room? And it's like local to the next one. But what I've kind of learned to do, what I've kind of done from the start is like we've a flat rate pricing system, and the customer has to remember that they're paying you for the result, not the time it took you to get the result. That's what I like to say to customers, like, because you take the good with the bad. Like if I've one here and it's beside it, could be, you know, 300 mil away. Another one could be, you know, 4 meters away. So you kind of have to take an average of the whole lot. Like,
it's not your fault if you can rock up to a property like and install a Zappy car charger in 2 hours.
Yeah,
you know, and get it all set up and running, and somebody else comes and it takes them half a day to a full day. It's not your fault for being quicker, but quality quick. I mean, you've trained yourself, you've done your training, you've got your qualification, you've got your years of experience, and you've got good at your job, like, and you charge for that. You know, so if somebody else who wants to come out, like, and they want to take longer at something and they want to charge per time or they want to charge per point, and everybody has their way of doing it. But the homeowner or the client or whoever it is, like, have to accept like that. If they want somebody and they want somebody quality like that, they have to be willing to pay for it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, I think customers, like I said, they're paying for a result, and most customers are fine with that. Like, they'll ask you, how long do you think you'll take? And you give them a rough estimate. Like, you'll always add maybe a couple of hours extra and get it done a bit earlier. But you'd rarely get a customer that will, question you on time if you've got to finish as quicker. You get the odd one that would. But I think if you're trying to charge for time and materials, that's when the problem arises, because you've stated on your quotation that it's going to take you that much time. You've used that much material. You get some oddballs that might come out and step it out and say, well, look, there's the excess cable that you didn't use, so it should be discounted on that. Like,
So what you're saying is you just need to compile that into one package.
Yeah, and you have to factor in your profit margin as well. So you're not just costing what you're doing. You're taking into account the admin that needs to be done on a car charger. Like, it might sound, you'd be surprised how many people qualm over the price of a car charger. Like, if you think about it, you're buying the car charger. Usually, if you're any good of an electrician, you're going to recommend the best one out there. So you've got your My Energies and wherever else, but you're offering that. You're offering the materials that go along with it, the switchgear that goes along with it, the cable, the admin, SCAA grant paperwork that has to be done, test certificate that has to be done and sent off and paid for as well, and the quotation of the job, the work that goes into actually even getting to the job, the diesel, your safe electric registration everything has to be factored into it. So there is not a lot in money for car chargers. People think it's a golden goose. It's a golden goose, and that people, you're lucky. Like, we do plenty of car chargers. I think you'd look at it and say, "Geez, that's great work. They're making a lot of money." But you'd make more money just putting in an extra socket.
Look, I guess there's a lot more chat there for another episode. I've actually missed these type of episodes, so I think we need to do it again fairly soon. There's a lot to be said for them, but I guess we'll keep rocking on with the episode now.
Yeah,
we've got Sean Doyle. He's a PT entrepreneur, and he's joining us on the podcast for a quick chat.
Yeah, can't wait to get chatting to him. He's my kind of chef as well, actually. Stuff that I can actually make. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him.
Let's get into it.
Let's go for it.
This is Insight, the Stripped Back podcast, sponsored by Robus Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And also brought to you in association with Snickers Workwear Ireland and Velocity Pro Gear.
Sean, thanks for taking the time to, at short notice as well, to come and meet us in the studio and have a chat.
No problem at all. Pleasure.
Yeah, you're easy going. We kind of just extended an olive branch and said, we'll try this fella and see will he accept to come on with us, two mad fuckers. But now, look, really appreciate you coming on, and there was no hassle, which was great for us for once.
Yeah, well, look, I mean,
no problem at all. Like, looking forward to it.
Yeah, look, it's that type of era now, isn't it? Like, where everybody's lives are online, like, and everybody's sharing TikTok videos and Instagram videos, and you get however many likes and all, and people feel like they know the real you. Like, but the likes of these podcasts, we'd like to probably open it up a little bit more to people and try and get a bit more in depth and try and find out who the real guest is and where they sort of grew up and what made them who they are today. So I guess like we do with all of our guests, like, we'll just sort of take it back a little bit, like, and maybe let our listeners know just maybe a little bit about where you grew up, even just to start off.
So grew up in Raheny, so North Dublin, down around St. Dan's, like grand old childhood, don't get me wrong. Group of friends. Now, obviously, we growing up, I was fond of the food, so I did enjoy, obviously, leaning into, you could say, the Carol's, lasagnas, pizzas, Modern Warfare 2, and then from all that inactivity caused a lot of weight gain to occur over the years. And then from that, obviously, like, slagging and everything was going to be part of it, school, all that type of shit. But then from all that, I said, this is a basic long story short. So from obviously growing up in Raheny, going to school in Raheny and everything as well. Then went to secondary school in Essence in Baldoyle.
Yeah.
Slagging started to increase, but I did have some decent thick skin, but obviously it did bother me as well at the same time. So I then started to lean into the gym. I was still playing GA over this period as well, but it wasn't just laziness as to why I was the way I was. So like growing up, I fucked up my knee. From fucking up my knee, I did balls on my hips. Both of them fell out of place. So I was in a wheelchair for a number of months. I was on crutches for around 2 years. And then obviously the weekends kept going on and on. And then
It's a good excuse though.
good, I'll get away with that one, yeah. But yeah, so from all that, like trying to tip in and out of GA, trying to come back from obviously the injuries, then just being, I wasn't as active for a number of years, and then from all that, the gym was the one thing that I did enjoy that I wasn't necessarily going to injure myself doing. Fingers crossed that fucking stays the same. And then I just developed the passion for it over that time.
Did like during school, did the slaggings, would that have affected you? Would that have pushed you into the gym, or was the gym just kind of like something that you wanted to do yourself? Would you have been affected, like I suppose, like the pressure, or like socially, like from people in school?
No, not really. So it was more so, obviously, with being away in school, I was in a mixed school. So the opportunity as to how big I was getting involved with girls was not a fucking thing that was happening. All the lads were cracking on, and I was like, I can't even pull a blade muscle here now at this point. Something has to fucking change. So then that was obviously a big push and a motivator. But from obviously doing the counselling and everything now over the past year, 2 years, I didn't feel at the time that the slagging was something that was bothering me. But to be fair, over the counselling and looking back to, you could say, past childhood trauma, that is something that has stayed with me pretty much all the way up until last year. That I wasn't necessarily taking into consideration all too much. So it was just one of those things. I was good at blocking it and shutting it down. But then what I do with a lot of stuff is if somebody says something, I'll take it on board and then go about changing it.
Yeah.
So that was very much as to what I was doing with the whole slagging. But it was still sticking with me all the way up until this point last year.
Well, look, one thing I take from, looking at your content and stuff, like you're really well spoken and stuff like that as well. So like what were you like academically in school?
Shit. Look, put it like this, my man paid for ordinary grinds for me from first year all the way up to sixth year. On my day of my leaving cert exam, I dropped down the foundation on the day, so waste a lot of my math money. Then with that, it was literally ordinary everything, and what was a clear indicator, was my mouth said, Sean, there's no point even applying for the
CAO.
CAO, that's it. We didn't even do that. I knew that wasn't going to happen. So as soon as I got the results, we just whipped it out of the envelope, seeing that we passed everything. Was fucking not good enough. And that was it. That was me. Yeah, so everything in school for me, there wasn't anything that I was particularly interested in. You know what I mean? When I'm interested in something, I'll get into it. Yeah. But in school, I was always very much made feel like I wasn't going to necessarily amount to nothing. I was always like I sat at the back of class a lot of time, or I'd be taken out of class, just not applying myself really at all in the slightest. But that was down to the fact that I wasn't interested in it, because only as of recent, like in February now, I was fully diagnosed with ADHD. So it somewhat makes sense as to why I couldn't get into it, and now as to why I'm very much interested in, like, let's say this, for example, as to what I do now. I can read something and I'll go directly into my head as soon as I am interested in it, and studying isn't an issue. And so studying is something now that I apply myself with every single day. But if you're trying to get me to learn about fucking algebra and all that kind of stuff, not a chance.
that diagnosis, was that self-sought by yourself, like due to signs and signals maybe that you might have been putting out there in your day-to-day life that maybe somebody flagged with you, or was it something that
something I'm very much fascinated in, and I actually don't necessarily talk all too much about online, is neuroscience. I think it's absolutely brilliant, fascination of the brain, and I say all the energy pathways and everything work. And then from me just going about actually learning about all that kind of stuff, and because I do feel that is also very important as to how to actually go about dealing and talking to individuals and getting an understanding into the psychology of actually somebody. So from all that and me learning about that, then I ended up just coming across different podcast specialists, and they were talking about ADHD, because I remember in primary school I was put into like this special class, and I was diagnosed but not necessarily fully diagnosed. So then I just got swept under the rug over the years. So that was still playing in mind. I was like, why can't I learn certain things? And then, like, even if I was reading, I'd get very drowsy and nearly be falling asleep. So reading for me never really worked. I always noticed that I get very easily distracted. I wouldn't be the type of person that would be like flying around the place. But I would be very much agitated. I can't necessarily really sit still. I'll always be moving to some degree, playing with something. So that was on my mind. I was like, right, okay. And then hearing all as to what the specialists were saying, I was like, yeah, I'll probably go get this tested. And one of the specialists says there's 7 types of ADHD, but on the diagnosis chart there's only 3. So I got diagnosed in the 90th percentile in all 3 of them. Only a few months ago. So I was like, from that, I thought I'd seen it as a bit of a blessing to some degree, because now it gives me a bit of an understanding, a lot more understanding. And what they said to me, what the psychiatrist said to me was, I subconsciously set up my life to coordinate everything so it works well, that I work for myself. But that was also why I could never also work for somebody. I've been sacked from every job that I've done.
Your way or the highway type of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's never really saw eye to eye.
You're hyper focused on certain things when you know that it's something that you want to do. Like, so obviously what you're doing now, like, you're hyper focused on, so you're doing it to the best of your ability.
Comes and goes.
Yeah, that's just how it's like. Do you find it hard then to maintain that focus?
Not really. I've always pretty much goal oriented.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing that I'm doing now, we set this out for myself 4 years ago, and I feel if a lot of people went through the shit that I've gone through, let's say in the first 3.5 years, they would have knocked it on the head straight away, or even the first year. So with that, like, I'm big on delayed gratification. I feel like I've willing to accept none comes easy, and from that, I don't know, it gives me a little bit more excitement and more of a push. And then from that helps increase, in a weird way, it helps increase focus, because I know a lot of other people would stop. So it makes me more willing to just to keep going. And then I see it in the sense of, I just keep going for X amount of years, blah, blah, blah. I'll eventually get to the point as to where I want to be. Well, obviously, applying myself. You know what I mean? Obviously, if you're lucky, you could probably get it done in a fucking year, depending on the person, you know what I mean? But for majority of the people I do know, obviously, it's going to take time. And that's what I feel is the most rewarding thing and the most humbling thing about just overall growth.
That's what you drill into them.
Yeah. That's what I drill into them, but it's what I drill into me. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel keeps me focused, because every day it's about progress. It was perfection and boring.
It's the delayed gratification.
Yeah, that's it. I think people nowadays all want the...
They want a quick fix.
They want the hit, yeah.
And I think that's just how you could say society is now at the moment, with AI, obviously for one, social media, even fucking Just Eat. Like, it's a touch of a finger, but like if you had to go get a chipper years ago, you had to go on a walk. They go and actually go get the thing. Now you stay sitting down and you can just order it to the door. You know what I mean? So everything's so quick and easy that people aren't willing to wait or accept that something might take a little bit longer as to what they initially thought. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. Well, what I've been thinking anyway, what I lean into and just tell myself is, not a lot of people are going to do it, and if you just do the thing that not a lot of people will do, you'll probably be doing better than the majority.
Yeah.
So you were talking about, you know, having a bit of weight on you when you were younger, and then obviously you're getting into the start of your fitness journey. What was that section of your life like?
Started off in school. So I was in and out with one of my friends. It was actually funny enough. I was actually talking about it the other day. We used to say, when we were getting into it, we actually used to always say, this has been going on in my head now for years, in the sense of, like, I always sort of see myself trying to be somebody that was, like, you could say, influential to some degree. Yeah. I used to say, well we're going to go call the games worldwide. But from that, we got into it at school. We were always messing about, like, with that whole idea. And he became a teacher, so that's scrapped on his end. But it started off then I lost the weight. Started going out with girls, which was nice, because that was a hard period. Yeah, that was the major win. But then obviously from then starting going out with girls and losing the weight, then I started going out with more nights out, and then I fucking discovered alcohol, and then kebab, so the weight was going back on. And then getting in a relationship and everything then as well. I was in and out of the fitness thing for a number of years. So it was never consistent up until around, I say, 3.5, 4 years ago. That's when I said, fuck this. You know what I mean? I'm just going to focus on myself regardless of being in relationships or not. But after I had, so I say around, so I finished school, I was acting bollocks. I was not into fitness at all at this point. Like, I knocked it on the head completely. And then that transition of trying to get back into it was, I was working in a pub, and I was sitting around after night, trying to do the lock-ins and all that stuff, sit around, have a few drinks. And I was just looking around, like, one of the lads, he was in my year in school, And I looked at him. He had a beer belly. We were 22. I was like, fuck this. And then I looked around at everybody else, that was it. Nothing wrong. They're all nice people, but I just knew how I wanted my life to go. Like some of them, like 30s, still living home, and obviously beer with gambling addictions, all that kind of crack. So I was like, you know what? I didn't go back the next day. But then that led me to be lazy and mad. I was like, Sean, something has to change. So I had two options: become a personal trainer, or do one of those cocktail courses. So life could be completely different. So I said I'll do the personal training, and then with that, got into it, loved it, and fly fit in Northside. That's where I went to.
Yeah.
Got bored down within 3 weeks of me starting. So I was like, that's my career gone.
We did the rewire of that actually.
Jesus Christ.
Rewire.
So yeah, then with that, once that got burnt down, started the career of trying to become a personal trainer, and how I got back into it was funny enough. It was like a little story is that, and then from here, then everything started to really, right, okay, this is what I really want to do. So I was working doing greenkeeping in Portmarnock Golf Club. Wasn't a fan of that. So with that, then I was finished at 2:00 every day. One of my friends, he got a redundancy from the specific job of which he was in. So I was finished at 2, so I'd go down, collect him. We were spending a lot of time together at that point, pretty much every single day, because his mum was away for a good while. So we were just making meals. We were basically brothers at that point, like. And then with that, he was getting a lot bigger, so he would have been a naturally skinny build. And a gym in Raheny opened up Gym X at this point, and we were going there for a while, and he was getting bigger. They started to notice he was getting a lot bigger, and I was in the changing room getting changed, and then he was out talking to the staff, and then I walked out, and they just offered me a job, and here I am. That was pretty much it. That's how I got back into it. So I just took it as, I don't know, you could say a sign. And then I scrapped that greenkeeping job as the first chance I got.
Yeah, when something comes along like that, you just take it, don't you?
Yeah, it was a weird one because I was always in and out, and I always like done dance around and done my own thing with it. I was still trying to obviously be on the ball for me. But yeah, I just took that as like a clear sign. I was like,
with the personal training, is there pressures with that? Like when it comes to, you obviously meeting different clients every time they come in, they're always looking for something different, different goals. Obviously, you know what works for you, but it's tough to try and adjust maybe to what that person is looking for without maybe losing some of their natural day-to-day life, like of how to still enjoy themselves. How do you focus in on somebody and allow them to still have a natural sort of life, like without losing everything at the same time, with trying to maintain, say, a healthy lifestyle?
So it's about trying to get fitness to fit into your lifestyle as opposed to trying to get your lifestyle to fit the fitness. Because if you try to do that, it's going to cause too much friction and it's not going to necessarily work. The enjoyment factor is going to, basically, as what you're touching on, would be gone. Now, obviously, when it comes to, let's say, somebody who's trying to get into it and they're getting takeaways 4 times through the course of the week, obviously that element of your lifestyle, like how serious are you? Has to go. But when it comes down to it, you can still very easily, it comes down, the way I see it and the way I address it to everybody who comes on board is you have to see it as if it's a collabo. The two of us come together to form the best plan. And then with that as well, communicate. I say to everyone as well, I don't take on anybody else. Otherwise, and I'd be willing to throw somebody off if I don't have these two things. Just 2 values. That's all I look for. Good communication and full transparency at all times. So then with that, it helps build a good coach-client relationship. When you have a good coach-client relationship, for whatever reason, everything just flows a lot better. I do feel it'll be the case of, let's say, use lads in work. If you're working with the lads that you get along with, everything's better crack, and everything's a lot more of a better flow. The work gets done a lot more efficiently, and you just get home a lot faster. You know what I mean? In there with people you don't get along with, you're dreading the day. You're like, oh, fuck this. You know what I mean? So somewhat the same principle to some degree. But it comes back to just having the communication, the understanding that not everything obviously has to be the specific way, same week, every single week. The understanding like it's about adaptability and everything too, and then when you're willing to adapt and change, it's about setting yourself up for achievable wins. There's no point saying you're going to start off a process. Like I think I've done everything wrong at this point when it does come to the amount of different stuff that I even went to Slim World at one point. But when it does come down to it as well, is being willing to adapt to whatever it is that is thrown at you, but then from having that communication, I say, with your coach, and then giving them the understanding that it's not just to be seen as he's the coach, he's giving me a training plan, a nutrition plan. That's an element of it, but the best results come from everything else. Obviously, nutrition, that's solid, right? Let's say without training, but everything comes outside of that. You know what I mean? That's the environment of which you're surrounding yourself in. And then if there's too much stress being thrown at you, right, okay, let's pull back here. You know what I mean? So it's about
If people are seeing the personal training session as an added chore to their day, it's not really the mentality that they should be having. It's
The training session is one element of it.
Yeah.
And necessarily, it is a big element, but it's not the biggest.
Mm.
You know what I mean? When it comes to, let's say, fat loss as a whole, training isn't necessarily important. When it comes to, well, just like body composition, building muscle, overall general health, longevity, all that's obviously training is huge. You know what I mean? If your goal isn't necessarily training, you can still make very good progress with just focus on steps and just your overall nutrition, good sleep quality, managing stress levels, all that kind of stuff. But the training's only a small part. You know what I mean? Everyone has fucking 30 minutes they could fit in at certain times. Even one 30-minute training session can tack on, I believe, it's like 30% extra. I could budget this, but I'm pretty sure it's no more than 30% anyway. It's in between 20 and 30% onto your life.
Because you were speaking there obviously about the neuro end of it and your enjoyment for learning about the neuro aspect of it. But there obviously has to be some sort of mental positive effects, that forgetting about the physical positive effects of working out and eating well. You must be able to see positive change with people mentally from when they first come and talk to you for that first session and telling you what they're looking for to a few months down the line. Like,
that's
mentally.
crazy. It's different. The difference is absolutely insane. Photo shoots, I feel, obviously, photo shoots I think are a great example to use, because I feel a lot of people look at them and just see it as in the sense of, and this just comes down to general fat loss and everything as well. But I use the photo shoots, for example, because I do feel there's still a bit of a stigma around them that it's just about physique. Anytime I have a client doing a photo shoot, I always say to them, it's not about your physique. Obviously, the physique is, you can say, the cherry on top. That's how you're going to look. But it comes down to the mindset. It teaches you delayed gratification. It teaches you hard work. It teaches you consistency, organisation as well. And yeah, the discipline and determination will be the main, like consistency. But the organisation element, and that radiates then into so many other different areas of your life. But then the confidence of which you then build from actually doing the thing of which you set out to do and sticking to the promises and making certain sacrifices and saying no to elements in your life that would obviously bring a lot of, let's say, joy, because it is quite a selfish process and everything as well. So you have to be willing to say no, and also understanding that saying no is a good thing, as opposed to just trying to accommodate everybody and saying yes when that's necessarily going to bring you more unhappiness. The way I say it, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no. You know what I mean? Like if you're feeling anyway 50-50, fuck it, just don't do it. But when you do that and you prove something like that to yourself, that you can actually set a goal, you stick to the promises, that there is very humbling. But then from that, the amount of times now that I've seen over the years of clients that I've had, lives and everything just fucking transform thereafter. It's like I know for a fact my one, if I didn't do my first photo shoot, I wouldn't have followed through with everything else. And being willing to stick through the hard times, even when everything was going against me that I should have. You know what I mean? So that sort of thing, it does flip everything on its head even more so, because if you just keep going, even on the weeks that are fucking, like I even correlate photo shoots in the business. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be some weeks where you're not going to necessarily see any progress, but if you still stay with it, you'll see the progress. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just about accepting the changes, and as I said, about being willing to adapt as to what's going on.
What moment did you look at the commercial gym and working and PTing in the gym? What moment did you say, right, I want to go out and do this on my own, and I presume create true power?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a weird one now as well, and wasn't in there. So so overall, so doing this 4 years.
Yeah.
First year, I can't remember when lockdown happened. So lockdown happened, 2019? So 4 years, roughly 4.5, let's say. So I was doing it for a few months. Lockdown happened. Knocked it on the head. Lovely weather. I ended up scrapping the whole personal training side of things. Fell back into my old habits. And I was doing deliveries because I wasn't registered for the tax, so I wasn't entitled to any COVID payments, so deliveries were me. And then with that, I ended up getting back into the whole gym sort of things. Because I was in a gym, doing the personal training, but I was quite good at the classes. And then I started, I was like, fuck this, second lockdown, I'm going to do something. Then I started doing classes and everything online through Zoom. Yeah. Then I started building a relationship with clients from the gym, then people from around the area. Like, maybe I could start throwing up a few things online. So then with that, I just sort of staying consistent, just like outdoor workouts or like gym classes like in the park. And then obviously things started reopening everything again. Then I went back to the gym where it was Gym X. That's the one that initially gave me the job.
Yeah.
There for I think 4 weeks, and I started to get a bit of a big head now at this point. I got this. And then I went out by myself. I didn't get one client. I was like, fuck.
It works, yeah.
I didn't get one client, and then I stuck with the deliveries then for another year and a half, I say, as well as doing the one-to-one. Changed gyms, started to pick up then a little bit more. Well, still, obviously, at this point, you're paying rent to use the gym which you're operating in. Yeah. So you're still very much doing it for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then with that, I started to get a bit of business in, but it wasn't consistent. Like, and even with me as to how I was holding myself throughout this period, I was very much seasonal. I do feel like in relation to, you're not going to go to a dentist with bad teeth. You know what I mean? So I was in shape. That would get a lot of clients in. And that, but knowledge and everything was still there. It was still growing. Yeah. But you still, obviously, I do feel you holding yourself a certain way is non-negotiable. Yeah. I just didn't obviously realise at that point. And then with that, I continued on. I actually got to a point then Christmas, I think it was like 2 years ago. I had no money. I had nothing at all. My house said, give me loans. So I was like, fuck, I need a job. Coming to the Christmas period, can't buy any presents. And then I was at the make or break point. Do I stay with the personal training or do I get a normal job as to how my mum has been fucking hammering on to me about for the past few years? So I done that. I got a normal job and I left personal training. And I went to Max Sport and I was building gyms, doing fly fits, all that kind of crap. Hated it. Absolutely hate it, but I'm thankful I done it because over that time then it gave me the realization as in like this is actually what I wanted to do. So I still now at this point now I was really starting to get consistent with like trying to post videos, throwing up whatever the fuck I could throw up, whatever it was, because I was also on prep for my second bodybuilding show now at this point. So I was throwing up like what I was doing. Food of which I was eating. That's how that started, because I was eating this mad crap that I do be eating, and I was getting a good nick. And then people were like, what's going on here? And then I started to get a few more clients in, and then I started to get a few. I started to get a few online clients. When I say a few, I think there was like 5. I was happy with that. You know what I mean? And then as the bodybuilding show was coming up, I hated it. Like I was at the point I was like, you know what, this is torture. And then everybody in the job could tell my attitude. So I got sacked like 2 weeks before the thing. I was like, I just got up and said, thanks. I fucking skipped me out of the place. Yeah, it actually worked out well because I then at that point I was like, you know what, I now realise from those months, I'm obviously doing what I didn't want to do, and away from what I wanted to do, it gave me the push to say I'd rather be happy doing something and getting paid less as opposed to being unhappy doing something and getting paid more.
So
I'd give you an idea then of being in those environments of not that they're doing anything wrong, but they're doing something for a certain type of clientele that you could see maybe a gap in a different way of going about doing it that you could possibly develop through a business of your own. Like, I know, like, even for myself, if I was going, I'm looking, right, January hits, everybody's going to the gym, they're hitting it, they want to hit that Christmas weight loss. And then it just dies off and you lose those people again. But you're trying to maybe develop a program that's going to keep people on a constant
that was all
journey.
Learning, yeah. So now I have that dialed in now. That's what I'm saying. It all comes down to mindset. You know what I mean? Like, when it even coming up to Christmas, don't get me wrong, people are going to let their hair down, and that's grand. But it's about showing them that they can be more than what they actually are, and what they feel like. And I do feel it's a lot of people for whatever reason. I don't understand is why I attract a lot of older male demographics. That's me, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s. But and I do feel so a lot of the time, just from conversations and everything which I have had on now over the years, I do feel a lot of times, and it's quite a sad thing to be fair, a lot of people who do come to me, I do see that they don't actually necessarily have that belief instilled in them, but then they don't have that belief also instilled in them from the partners, of which they do have. Right. And let's say even friends or whatever they may have as well. It's all very much the norm. If you're out of the norm, then it's questioned or whatever. And then you being that support system in their corner, bringing them up, being that person, and I fucking well believe it as well. Wouldn't be just saying to them, if they're acting the bollock, I'll say you're acting the cunt. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. If they're doing that and I can actually genuinely see that they actually can be more than what they're actually saying, I'll fucking say it. And like from that and creating that vision that they never probably thought they had before, they're locked in. You know what I mean? But it's about, that's what I said, it all comes back to mindset.
Seems more like a change of lifestyle rather than just a personal trainer. Like.
That's exactly it. It's a change of lifestyle. It's not just, the personal training is only one element. It's a big element, but it's only one element. When it comes down to it, you have to wear a load of different hats. You know what I mean? Like you're basically a counsellor, your business, your personal trainer, but yes, fucking whatever. The list goes on and on.
And come here, you've wore the t-shirt as well. Like, you know, you went from, I suppose you're in really good nick, and then we're on the way, fucking lost it again.
I've done it a few times, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So, like, you've done it, worn a t-shirt. It's not like you're one of these fellas that has always been in good shape, or is like, you know, genetically fucking there. You know what I mean?
If I look at a peach all game, like, it's a pain in the arse. But yeah, no, it is one of those things. Like, that's what I'm saying. I've been around the block when it comes to all this kind of stuff, so I do understand. I feel that's why, for me, I'm not trying to say it, but I do feel like I can work well with a lot of different people, regardless of their particular backgrounds, because of the backgrounds of which I have had throughout from growing up, and the struggles of which I faced, and just from also trying so many different things. From that, it makes me a lot more relatable, and also. I would obviously, you say, crack the whip, whatever, maybe if I see someone fall down, but I'm also quite empathetic. You know what I mean? I'm very, very much understanding, and I do feel like with that, the willingness for people to open up and feel comfortable to actually be able to talk to me increases. You know what I mean? And that relationship and the connection forms.
I would see, if I was looking for, say, to work out, I would try, maybe I'm going to go into a room now with a man that maybe has an image of what I think I could possibly get to. Do girls, does it matter? Does girls have to go to another girl to maybe, like, or would they go to men, or does that make any difference?
I'm not going to lie, I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I had in my head that I just asked all the clients before I brought Hayley on board, because I wanted to bring Hayley on board because she's very good at what she does. Like, and I asked into the chat just out of curiosity, I was like, would any of the males here mind getting coached by a female? Everyone said no. Now, obviously, in my head, I was like, it's just because it's chat, there's girls in this chat. Nobody can say, yeah, there'll be slight going on. But then saying that in every single call that I've had, no issues. They all think she's great. They all call her boss. I call her Big Mama. No, she's fucking grand. No, nobody has any issues. It's the same thing, you know what I mean? I do understand some girls may feel more comfortable going to a girl or going to a lad for that matter. But no, I haven't had. Nobody has said anything, because the way I work is not they're not just with Hayley. They're also working with me, so that's how I swing it. So you get the two of us. So it'll be the two of us coaching you together.
And you mentioned the chat there. Is there an importance on community within within fitness, or like you mentioned that, like, obviously you do a lot of individual based training or whatever, but is there an importance with community to maybe have a bit of accountability for yourself?
Community is brilliant. I think.
Is it a thumbs up, thumbs down, like for classes and stuff? Like, if thumbs down, is that frowned upon? Like,
no, that's. So I wouldn't. So I haven't done one of the events yet.
Yeah.
Once, but like for being involved in like other community groups and everything, my one's hopping. I'm not just saying it does be hopping. A lot of them now become friends, and it's good to see. Because well and good me saying X about like what it is that I do, or me throwing up, like, let's say, stories of clients. But the way I was viewing it would be best if clients were also bigging up clients.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They chat to each other. You know what I mean. So. And then them sharing their wins. It's a nice way to, say, boost overall community morale. I know sometimes maybe some people, and I do address it then with them, obviously, with comparison. You say that being the thief of joy, and not looking at if somebody's thrown in a win. Don't see that as in like, oh, they're doing so much better than me. See it as a way of like, okay, they're doing well. It obviously works. What can we do to be different? Yeah, it's achievable. You know what I mean? So, I feel from all that elements and having the chat and trying to bring them together in different aspects, different ways. Even like sometimes what I have done and with other clients who would be particularly struggling in a certain area, and there could be another client who also had that exact same similarity. Go on and let's say, for example, somebody went through addiction, changed their life, and done a photo shoot, done all this kind of stuff, and now it's a completely different person. Some fella now starting off trying to battle his whole addiction sort of things, and now on the journey of wanting to change their life. Him, for me, who hasn't done any of that, but this fella here trying to obviously change, this fella who has gone through the journey, them two coming together and chatting as part of the community, and then obviously I'm still here to give my.
And for you're the catalyst, because you helped that other person get to that stage.
Yeah, and then they also become friends, and everyone's helping each other. You know what I mean?
Accountability with each other, yeah.
Exactly, so it does go a long way.
And is that the goal, to do larger events?
Yeah, I have a big one now in November. Not fully booked yet, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get there. Yes.
What's the story with that?
So I think there's a big team photo shoot on the day. So I think there's like 20 clients so far doing that. And then I'm going to rent out a restaurant in the evening and then gallivanting around town, second the bollocks.
You want me and Steve to jump in on that? We'll make your lads look good.
Yeah.
You get the front of you on.
Obviously, there's communities abroad as well. Like you'd see a lot of PTs as well that I follow, and they're going to Dubai now, and they're setting up in Dubai, or they're heading over to Miami, and they're heading over to these like sunny states where there's a lot of good spots for photo shoots as well that goes in line with the likes of the PT. Has your business afforded you the opportunity to travel?
I've done a small photo shoot there in Marbella at the start of July. That was good. But this now was it's changed my life completely. Like a year and a half ago, I was homeless. You know what I mean? Like, so with that now, obviously over the past year and a half, it's completely transitioned everything. I haven't been able to go on holidays. Now I try still feel guilty every time I go away, but I do try to enjoy it. Like I had to go I went to Ibiza in June. One of the girls who works for me nearly, which is what I know people probably think this is stupid, but she had to like push me to go because I was feeling too anxious and guilty for wanting to actually go. We had a great time there, don't get me wrong. But it's opened my eyes and opened up the possibilities of so many different avenues, and you could say just dreams that I've always had. Like as I said, when I was in Venice last week, I was always dreaming wanting to go since I was a kid. And even having the opportunity to go and still work while over there.
Is it stupid to ask you, has social media really helped what you're doing?
Yeah.
Stupid, yeah.
Yeah, social media.
I meant to say really good question.
The social media has been a great help. You know what I mean? So the way the social media was something that I said I've been doing it. Social media, I've been tipping away at it since I started. But I never really became consistent, and what I was throwing up was pretty much shit. Like there is a structure as to what you have to follow when it comes to content. The hooks are extremely important, and and this is all still so much learning, and I've still a long way to go, but I do know the ins and outs of it. I know I'm good at saying it, but doing the thing is a lot different. So like in relation to like the hooks, obviously they're going to be very important as to how you structure and obviously getting people's attention within like literally the first 1 to 3 seconds. Realistically, some people say even the first frame of the actual video itself as to how the attention span and everything's going to go. The talking and doing within the video is in like you can't, for obviously podcasts and everything's great. You sit here, talk, have a chat. Social media, we're sitting here, we have to be doing an actual action while actually talking about trying to bring it to life in that sense to make it engaging. Angles consistently have to change. The zooms in and out also have to be a certain thing. You might not notice it when actually going through a video, but if you actually look at it and take a step back, you'll see the angle change in and out multiple times within a few clips. Then it would be like the script. But the body, if you have a good hook in the first few seconds of the video is solid, the body of the video is still important, but you can somewhat get away with it. Depending on, but that's what I'm saying. It just has how important the first part of the actual video is for, say, overall virality, whatever it's pronounced. So the structure, the consistency with it, and everything that's needed. It's like a full-time job. Like let's say a video could be 1 minute 30 seconds, could be like 2-3 hours gone in, 3 hours even some majority of the time gone in beforehand, just trying to get everything together. If you're like, let's say you're doing an education video, make sure obviously everything from the knowledge standpoint is up to scratch. You have it all structured, your points and everything are correct. Then trying to obviously get the stuff in, that can be a headache for me anyway. Trying to figure out as to how to actually bring it to fucking life. It's a process. You know what I mean? Like, so for what it looks like, I was through a video. There's a lot of stuff that goes in behind it. You know what I mean? So it's hard work, but it's very, you could say, humbling in a sense. When you do meet people out and about and you get messages, when I just sometimes see it in front of a video and you have other people getting on, like my editor, for example, he's from Mississippi. He got on to me last year and his first message to me was, I said, I just see it sometimes that I'm trying to video. Got on, just a nice message, but then he finished off with saying, you've had to change my whole life. But it was changed my whole life, but as in like as to how close he was to just being in a very, very bad place for himself. Not going to too much depth, but like it wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like so with that then it was just like I just called him and then one thing led to another. Became my best friend now at this point. But like it's the impact of what you can have on so many different people that you don't necessarily really take into account, which makes it very rewarding.
And you don't really even know the reach. You know what I mean? Because as I said, I think even when I sent you the voice note, it was an electrician from the UK who initially contacted me and
I
actually
stopped in Venice last week.
yeah, you know what I mean. Just,
Eating a pizza, you didn't see Anne.
Yeah.
Proud of that.
and it's just, you know, he's seen a video of you doing something in the kitchen and putting something together in the kitchen, and it's just like he's passing them videos over to me, and then I'm reaching out to you, and you know, now you're on the podcast and it's going to go out to a few more people, and it's just little videos of just putting yourself out there, bit of confidence. It's only talking, like you said, a few angles, and you know the reach is unbelievable.
And he won me some brownie points last night. I was bringing the young lad back from football, and he'll always ask like, "Oh, who have you got on this week?" He doesn't give a shit about this. Like, but he asked me, like, he just asked me to ask me, you know. And I said, "Oh, we've got Coach Sean coming on," and he was like, "Who's that?" Like, you know what I mean? And I got up the phone. He goes, "Oh, that lad, I'm fucking always watching his stuff." Like, you know, because he's mad into the gym now. So, thanks for that. Yeah, I was killed there for like 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
It does be a weird one. Obviously, yeah, and I'm still not used to it. It does be a strange one.
Do you see yourself as an influencer?
No, I still see myself as a personal trainer, but I was actually having this conversation with somebody there. It was actually only yesterday. I suppose now at this point, you nearly somewhat have to. You know what I mean? Like, not that I have to, I don't want to, because in my head, I'm a personal trainer, like, that's my job. You know what I mean? But certain aspects, you do, like, you know what I mean? I had some little, like in Northside, for me, it's in Northside Shop Centre, a man stopped me, "Yes, Sean."
Yeah.
And I was for a kid. And I thought this was quite funny. You know, people say cheese.
Yeah.
And the kid goes, "Honey burgers." I say he's around 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you just get stopped in my places, and like, you don't necessarily see it. And I know that's bigger than just being, like you say, a personal trainer to some degree. It is still personal training.
Just an added bonus over them,
It's
isn't it?
it's an added bonus to it. You know, it's an extra layer.
Does it play on your mind at all, like thinking back to yourself as a young lad? And you know, you were talking about the counselling and the trauma, like of, you know, the bullying that came along with the added weight when you were younger. That there's a potential there to maybe tap into youth with personal training at an earlier age. Maybe not as intense, but that there's something there that we need to be tapping into to maybe catch the kids a bit earlier.
From the gain weight standpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously there is stuff. I believe that what they do is start doing that now in PE in school, like they brought in nutrition, they brought in that kind of element of things. But there definitely is stuff, you know what I mean? Just more broader education around it all. A lot of obviously comes down to the parents, you know what I mean, as to how they hold themselves.
Yeah.
I feel that's a big one. You know what I mean? Not, I wouldn't say like stop the kid eating a lot of stuff, because that'll probably get them to want to eat more of it.
That's the way it works.
I feel, it's a hard one to
Some
try
kids
to say.
they might not want to, you know, they might be, like we were saying there, they might be, you know, enjoying the Fortnite or, you know, sitting in front of the computer, but they might still have a bit of a want to go out and, you know, maybe train and work out, but they don't want to get into sports per se.
I do, to be fair, I do feel this day and age now is a lot more soft to some degree, as in, like, for me growing up, I'll use my brother as an example. For me growing up was like, obviously you're out, you're tipping the, you're playing tip to can or whatever, you're forced to like run around. Obviously, look, I'll do so much, but like you're forced to go out and be somewhat active. You know what I mean? But I do feel like your brother, obviously a lot more technology based, and then obviously with that everything is a lot more behind the screen.
Yeah.
So the likelihood of it's a lot more of a smaller chance of, you could say, of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a higher probability of obviously a lot more inactivity, obviously coming from being able to enjoy life to some degree as to what they'd feel behind the screen, and as to how everything is pretty much going now at this point. You know what I mean? And if anything's just going to get worse.
Like a lot of people, you know, and we'd see it, like, because we obviously played football myself and Keith when we were younger, like, and there wouldn't have been a big push back then to even get into the gym. You know, you were playing your football and that was it. Like,
Yeah.
you might have been doing a small bit at home maybe, but that was it. And there was no, nowadays you see the kids and they're going up to the gyms and they're signing up, like, and the pocket money now is nearly going to the kids to get into the gyms, you know?
See, that's also the other thing. Like, for example, if you're to walk out here, would you see a Lamborghini? No, exactly. But if you go on Instagram, you can see somebody in the best shape of their life, which is also a genetic freak, which would be the equivalent of a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So this is where it's going to also lead into One, you have two aspects. One, it's obviously going to give people the push say they want to change, or two, it's going to leave some people to feel very shit and cause them to be more inactive because they're getting something wrapped up in the head. You know what I mean? So it'll go down two avenues, but I do feel that also comes down to the individuals. You know what I mean? So trying to notice that at an early age, it's going to be a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about up to the people making their mistakes to learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's no harm in learning from obviously that. Like you've been, like he said, wore the t-shirt, been through it. Like,
like sometimes actually going through the hard things and actually understanding as to like you do something that necessarily doesn't give you, let's say, a good outcome, that negative outcome, and then you learn from that negative outcome, and then you learn from that and fixing it for yourself, then creates that sense of purpose then to be able to help others. Somebody going through addiction, changes the whole addiction, now they are on a mission now to obviously help other people with that, fight that addiction. You know what I mean? Like it's still little things like that. Sometimes you have to go through the hardship to figure out what you actually want.
Yeah, class. Quick question for my young lad, obviously not me. Are there any go-to supplements that you like to incorporate into, I suppose, your routines or your coaching setups?
I'd say, for you, how old's your kid?
He's 16, but he looks about 18. He's working away.
I'd say creatine.
Creatine?
Yeah, creatine.
Yeah.
That'd be the best one for just help him grow. Muscle tissue a lot more of a faster rate. But even with him being so young, he can grow, and if he has like decent level of like nutrition on point, I wouldn't say like exactly bang on because he's a young lad.
Yeah.
But obviously, let's say hitting an adequate amount of protein every single day, having a decent amount of calories going in. Obviously having like creatine, as I said, will help from a supplement standpoint.
Yeah.
But just focus on around nutrition training, and recovery, he will grow muscle extremely fast, as if he was somebody taking juice. As to how fast somebody within the first couple of years of training can actually develop muscle because it's such a new stimulus to the body.
Grand, so if you're listening, Cam, just creatine, yeah?
Yeah, creatine will help.
You mentioned calories there. Is there a misconception around calories, like when it comes to, obviously there's weight loss and fitness, like people think they need to cut it out completely, but obviously you need calories like in your
calories
diet.
Essential, yeah. See, a lot of people go wrong. They always, as soon as they go to lose weight, just cut calories straight off the bat, and they wonder why they never lose weight. We've done it plenty of times. Now, don't get me wrong, it is the aggressive dieting is something that I am very much big into. There's so many studies now that have come out in the sense of like it suits 90% more of individuals. There's a lot less drop off rate. But obviously, when you do a study, you have to get people into the trials, and there's a lot more drop offs in the slow and steady group as opposed to the aggressive dieting because they're seeing the results faster, and even the longevity post diet itself for like let's say weight rebound, it doesn't necessarily happen as much as opposed to the slow and steady group, which would be typical 1 pound, 0.5 per week, which is bollocks. So I'd personally rather get to my goal a lot faster as opposed to taking fucking all bleeding year to get there. You know what I mean? So with that though, it does come down to like, let's say the specific individual and as to what suits them. But a lot of people do have the misconception in the sense as to what calories are and even what they feel. So you have calories, but then also what you want to make sure you're getting the most out of those calories which you're consuming. So even though calories are calories, there's going to be a unit of energy across the board, no matter what it is necessarily that it is that you have, but how it's utilised in the body is going to be completely different. So you could have some, let's say a square bar, nothing wrong with it as a carb source, yeah. But then you can have potatoes, still a carb source. You could still be the exact same amount of calories, same grams across the board between the square bar and the potatoes. But as to how the potatoes are going to be broken down, as they're going to be a lot more of a complex carbohydrate source, it's going to take the body a lot longer to actually break down, absorb, and digest it, and then bring it into the large intestine, as opposed to the squares bar, which is going to be much more of a faster acting carbohydrate. So it's going to be broken down extremely fast into the bloodstream, quick source of energy, and that there you can see the components. It's like, okay, this one here is going to keep me fuller for longer, and this one's going to taste nice and give me a quick boost, which that's going to, you stick to your calories, you'll still lose weight. You know what I mean? Like calories are calories, but you still want to make sure you're getting the most out of the food which you're consuming. You know what I mean? That's where people, I feel, go wrong. And they're too afraid to eat as to what they actually need to eat, because when going into a calorie deficit to actually lose weight as well, another common thing that obviously happens is, so I've done it, was you go balls to wall straight off the bat. You feel you have to go, whatever reason, you have to now start jogging to lose weight. So what a lot of people think, which you don't, if anything, that will just drive up a lot more stress and everything on the body. And your body only cares about recovery and survival. That's just you. So if you're going to do a lot of running, you're doing too much activity throughout the course of the week without giving yourself the adequate amount of recovery which you need, then from being in a calorie deficit and not giving your body the right amount of fuel which it needs to recover from the level of stress that you're putting on it, what can typically happen there is these individuals will feel that they're eating fuck all, they're doing extremely well, but they're being on track with everything, but the scale still isn't budging. But that's just down to higher levels of cortisol in the body, which is just naturally going to go up with water retention. It's just going to mask fat loss on the scales completely. And that is why a lot of people don't end up sustaining the fat loss efforts. And they end up getting just knocked on the head before they even really get going.
It's pure science. Pure science.
That's just, well, it's just being smart. If you can go, like as I was saying, like you can just drop your calories down to the ground. Yeah. You know what I mean? But then you have to take into account recovery, and you have to take into account, okay, then with that, how can I go about optimizing recovery? Let's say with nutrition, obviously sleep and stress goes without saying, adequate rest in between training. But with nutrition, you can look at diet breaks and refeeds. You know what I mean? To correlate to aggressive with then giving that pull back, and then that pull back is what will essentially take you 2 steps forward. You know what I mean? So
it's amazing though. Like, you know what I mean? The amount of things that we own in life, if it's cars or if it's, equipment that you might have for work, where you learn the ins and outs of how it works, but you don't have a clue how your own body works,
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, not a lot of people probably feel somewhat uncomfortable about. You know what I mean? Like, because even food, you know what I mean? It's very much obviously, built into us. There's a celebration, food. Fucking something sad happens, food. You know what I mean? It's just built into your culture, who you are, and it's a very touchy thing for some people, and it's a very hard thing for a lot of people to let go of, in the sense of if you're not doing it right, or then also not potentially wanting to be willing to be shown that they actually are doing it wrong, but they want to think that they're doing it right. You know what I mean? So it comes down to the mindset then, for the most part, and being willing to change.
And never truer things spoke, isn't it? Like you're trying to reward yourself, like it's food. It's fucking
everything revolves around food.
Looking back from I suppose where it all began and where you are now, what's your standout moment? What are you most proud of?
Bringing a group of individuals together. That's we feel now we're very much like a family. We have a very good connection, and we all share pretty much the exact same values, and we're all in it to help each other, see each other win, and nobody wants to pull each other down. You know what I mean? Everyone's supposed to push each other up, and I know it was me, obviously, who brought everybody together. So from that, I felt that was very rewarding, and then being able to give them now opportunities that they never had. You know what I mean? So but it's all correlating into none of us have been able to do what we're doing now. Like, isn't like being able to go travel or whatever it may be. Like, and the biggest one now would be my best friend. He works with Flav, and he has a family business, and now next month, and he has 2 kids and all that kind of stuff. Being in a position where he can happily be able to actually leave the family business now. You know what I mean? I think that's probably one of the most rewarding things.
Totally.
Fair play to you. Yeah. One of the hardest questions that we asked every guest that comes on is to add a song to our Spotify playlist. What would a song be that would get you going?
Get me going. Fucking ADHD Thunderstruck. It's my alarm every single morning.
Love it. Yeah. That's a good one, actually.
I get the pep in the step.
It's a good playlist, actually, this season, in fairness.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming in.
No problem at all.
Yeah, sounds. I think it's definitely going to give me a kickstart, I think, to fucking do something with myself. So,
well, I know I can go off on little tangents and do a bit of rambling. Sometimes I do forget what the questions even are.
That's it's stripped back, so
yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it's all about.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
Look, that's a pleasure.
Yeah, sounds. Cheers. Thanks very much. Season 7, episode 6 in the can, and what an episode. Really enjoyed it. Taking things back to basics, myself and yourself on the overload, solo or duo, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, it was nice to go back to where we came from, I suppose, and I hope our listeners take a bit from it as well, because that's just our day today, and that's people have asked for us to go back kind of a little bit trades related and get our views on what's happening in the industry. So for me, that's my little bit from this week, and look, Stephen's in the maintenance game, so it's nice to tap into that and draw a bit of knowledge from you sometimes, so it's great.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot more there to share. We cut it short on that one, but there's a lot more episodes to come. So stay tuned for more insights, I guess. And yeah, look, Sean Doyle joined us on the episode. PT, entrepreneur, founder, and chef
Legend.
as well. I think like if you watch some of his videos on TikTok and Instagram, he's a very influential character, and I think there's a lot that can be taken from his videos if it's in regards to health and fitness. So make sure you go check him out. But I guess before we go, we'll do what we always do. We'll thank our sponsors, Robus Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company, for their sponsorship. Thank you very much.
I'd also like to thank Snickers Workwear Ireland and Velocity Pro Gear for their continued support as well. Really stood by us through this season so far, and long may it continue.
Yeah, and I guess if you liked what you heard, head over to wherever you get your podcast, give us a follow, and you'll be notified when the next one drops. Take it easy.
Talk to you on the next one.